Welcome to example 3. The volume of water in a leaking tank in gallons is given by V equals f of t equals 21 over t plus 2, where t is measured in minutes. Calculate and simplify the difference quotient f of 1 plus h minus f of 1 divided by h. Okay, so what's the situation in this example? We have water in a tank. The tank is leaking. Water is leaking out of the tank. And the volume that's remaining in the tank after t minutes is given by this formula right here. F of t equals 21 over t plus 2. We can also visualize the amount of water in the tank looking at our graph over here. So it looks like at time t equals 0, there's quite a bit of water there. And then as time goes on, more and more water leaks out, and so the volume remaining decreases. So after 1 minute, it looks like there's about 7 gallons left. After 2 minutes, it's a little more than 5, and so on. After 5 minutes, only about 3 gallons are left in the tank. So this is what's going on. In part A, they're asking us to simplify this difference quotient right here, over there. We don't really know what it means at this point, but that's okay. We'll learn about that later. Let's just compute it. So this is a purely algebraic problem at this point. Let's see if we can figure this out. So we have f of 1 plus h, and f of t is given by 21 over t plus 2. So I'm just going to compute f of 1 plus h right here. And I get that by substituting 1 plus h in for t into our formula. So everywhere I see a t, I'm substituting in 1 plus h. So this gives me 21 divided by 1 plus h, and then I have plus 2. Now I also need to compute f of 1, so I'm going to do that as well. F of 1, I'm substituting 1 in for t. It's a little bit easier. I have 21 divided by 1 plus 2. So same principle, t is equal to 1. I just substituted that in. 21 divided by 3, that's actually 7. That's nice. So I have f of 1 plus h, I have f of 1. Now I can put together my difference quotient. So f of 1 plus h minus f of 1 divided by h becomes 21 divided by 1 plus h plus 2 minus f of 1, and that we already simplified to be 7, and then all of that is divided by h. This looks pretty nasty, but I can simplify this a little bit further. So that first part of the expression, I have 21 divided by 1 plus h plus 2. That is actually h plus 3. Looks a little bit nicer. And then I still have divided by 7, and then I still have divided by h. Now, this is called a compound fraction. I have a fraction within a fraction. And our goal is to simplify this a little bit. We want to have fewer fractions. And so the first thing I want to do is just look at the numerator and see if I can combine those two terms. And the way I can do that is by finding a common denominator. Now, on the left-hand side, I have h plus 3 as my denominator. On 7 right here, really, where it's a fraction, well, I can think of it as 7 over 1. I can create a denominator by multiplying the 7 by h plus 3 divided by h plus 3. H plus 3 divided by h plus 3 is just a complicated way of writing 1. but by taking 7 and multiplying it by h plus 3 over h plus 3, I'm turning 7 into a fraction. So let's see what we get. We have 21 divided by h plus 3 minus 7 times h plus 3 divided by h plus 3. And then I still have that all over h. Doesn't look nicer, but it really is, because now in the numerator I have the same denominator. I have h plus 3, so I can just say this is h plus 3 in the denominator, and the numerator is 21 minus 7 times h plus 3. And then the whole thing is divided by h. Okay, I can simplify the numerator a little bit. That is 21 minus 7h minus 7 times 3. I'm distributing the 7, so that's minus 21. And then I have divided by h plus 3. And that whole thing is still divided by h. Okay, now you see that in the numerator I have 21 minus 21, so that 21 just goes away, and I'm left with 7h divided by h plus 3, and that is all over h. And you could think of that h in the denominator as just an h divided by 1. And so instead of dividing by a fraction, you can multiply by the reciprocal. So this becomes 7h divided by h plus 3 times 1 over h. And I think I forgot a minus, so let me add that. That was actually minus 7h. And so now nice things happen. The h cancels, and I get my final answer to just be minus 7 divided by h plus 3. So this is the answer. This is the answer to our difference quotient. Now let's look at part B. They're asking us to evaluate the difference quotient from that we just computed with h equals 4 and h equals 2, and to interpret our answer in the context of the problem. Okay, so let's write it down again. So our difference quotient, f of 1 plus h minus f of 1 divided by h, was minus 7 divided by 3 plus h. And they want us to evaluate this with h equal 4. So h equals 4, we can just plug that in. We get f of 1 plus 4 minus f of 1 divided by 4. And that is minus 7 divided by 3 plus 4. That's another 7. So this is minus 1. And we can do the same thing for h equals 2. We have f of 1 plus 2 minus f of 1 divided by 2. And that is minus 7 divided by 3 plus 2. So that is minus 7 over 5. Now, what do these numbers mean? The first difference quotient, if you're looking at that f of 1 plus 4 that I wrote down, that is f of 5 minus f of 1 divided by 4. And that 4 you can think of as 5 minus 1. So this is really an average rate of change. When you're thinking about it, in this example, f refers to the volume at time t. So the numerator right here is a change in volume, and the denominator is a change in time. We could interpret the denominator as a change in time. The same is true for the second piece right here. When h was equal to 2, we can interpret that as f of 3 minus f of 1 divided by 3 minus 1. That's also change in volume over change in time. So we are looking at two average rates of change of the volume in our tank. And so unit-wise, the units of volume were gallons. The units of time in this example were minutes. So what we have here is when h was equal to 4, we are looking at minus something that's minus 1 gallon per minute. And for h equals 2, we had minus 7 over 5 gallons per minute. Those two numbers are telling us how fast the water is leaking from the tank. So these two numbers tell us how fast is the water leaking from the tank. And they provide answers. So the first number for h equals 4, that was telling us that between 1 and 5 seconds, between 1 and 5 minutes, the water was leaking at an average rate of 1 gallon per minute from the tank. And similarly, between 1 and 3 minutes, the water was leaking at an average rate of minus 7/5 gallons per minute. So that is the answer to this problem. We can also visualize that going back to our graph. So between 1 and 5 minutes, we just computed this slope right here. We computed this as minus 1 gallon per minute.